Hey everyone, Tate here with this week's IMS Tech Tips. This goal of the video is going to be discussing different types of cables. One thing that I've struggled as a personal and on a business side is when you're trying to help someone and you're not necessarily physically there, trying to help that person discern which cable's which when you're trying to help troubleshoot with unplugging, replugging stuff. And there's so many different types of cables that go into our computers now these days that it's hard for a person who doesn't specialize in these kind of things to have an understanding of what all these different cables do and what they're used for. So I'm going to make this a two-part video. This first one here we're going to discuss specifically display cables, and then the next one we'll discuss all the other different ports on your computer, from USB and all that good stuff. So like I said, we're going to work on display cables this week, and I kind of created this little infographic here for us to kind of show you at a very, very base level, the different types of display cables you'll see out there for your computer. And then at the end of this part, we'll kind of go into a little overhead view and show each cable off. So you close-up view of each cable. That way it's very easy to tell that individual that, hey, go to this video at this time to see what that cable and see what that looks like. So hopefully that helps everyone out. So we're going to start off with probably the most basic cable that is in production now, and that's going to be VGA. That's going to be this blue guy right here. It's going to be a discernible display connector. Now, I say it's normally blue. I have seen other branded cables with different colors, but the most generic ones, or ones that will come with monitors, are going to be blue. This is an analog signal, so you're not going to be getting HD quality out of this, and nor will it normally do audio. It's going to be a visual only kind of type of cable. Kind of common on your lower end monitors. There's something on that people use to display out. They're not doing any like high fidelity work or anything on it. Just mostly office documents. Another kind of key feature with it, you'll see with this one and the next cable, it's going to normally have two screws, to secure it into place, both on the computer side as well as on the monitor side. Next we're going to talk about is going to be DVI. This one kind of came after VGA. It attempted to be the most mainstream computer cable. It is your kind of first digital signal cable that we're going to have. I've seen it as normally white or black. Again, it's not the only one out there. The way I kind of discern the two is if you look at this infographic. The display cable for DVI kind of has this array of pins, and then it kind of has one guy sticking out. There's also a different option where there's a separation between these two arrays, and then that one guy sticking out. While VGA over here is going to be a complete one spot of pins. So that's kind of the way I always tell the difference between the two. Quick, easy focus. You're going to see this common on older monitors. You won't really see it anymore because it is phased out of production. But sometimes, depending on where you're at, you might see it. Next is going to be kind of the king of display cables, just because it's used in both a computer standpoint as well as your home television standpoint, and that's HDMI. It's going to come in different multiple factors. In my little thing, I will show you just the normal HDMI Type A. Your Type C and Type D, while are sometimes on laptops, you're going to mostly commonly find them on digital cameras, so you can produce a signal out to a display. Going to be a digital signal, which that's going to be able to do HD plus signals, so your HD, your 2K, your 4K, your 5K visual clarity on there, just depending on the type of cable. So be very careful when you're reading your box and purchasing HDMI cables, because even though they all look the same, they're very different on the internal side. And again, it comes in many different shapes there. Kind of the king of display connectors in the PC landscape, though, is DisplayPort. And that's going to come into two different factions. You'll see DisplayPort and then Mini DisplayPort. It's going to be your most common one now on future monitors going forward. Most of them you'll see an array of one HDMI and one DisplayPort. So you'll have that flexibility depending on which cables you have lying around. It produces a digital signal, can also do audio as well, similar to HDMI. But normally it has a faster bandwidth, so if you're in like that gaming or high fidelity kind of workspace, these ones can produce a better image for you, 9 times out of 10, depending on the monitor's capability. So that's kind of these ones here. I don't have an infographic, but Type C is another cable I'll show you in the overhead view, just because that's kind of coming cable. But yeah, I'm going to switch over to the overhead view. Hey everyone, so we're in the perspective here now where I will be able to show you guys the cables in a better view. This is mostly just so you guys can get an up and close look at each cable, and then I can point out those discerning features. So when you're in that position where you need to figure out which cable goes to which plug, you'll be able to make that decision. So the first one that we're going to be looking at is the VGA cable. I'll put that into view here now. Again, what we're going to notice is that the header, 9 times out of 10 on these cables, are going to be blue. I have seen other colors, so I'll show you a different one to kind of discern these. The big feature with these are going to be the 2 screws that will lock this cable in place, both on the monitor side and the computer side. But the way I always discern this cable between its counterpart, which is DVI, is the pin layout. So when you look at these, the pin layout on a VGA cable is always going to be a centralized group of pins. There's going to be no separation, which you'll see in the DVI cable. Again, this is going to be an analog signal, so no HD quality coming from it. Perfect for your office applications if you're not doing any sort of graphical work or high fidelity recordings or editing, and that kind of sort. Okay, next here we're going to take a look at the DVI cable. It looks very similar to the VGA cable. When it comes to the 2 pairings, I see people get VGA and DVI mixed up, and then when I see the other pairing, HDMI and DisplayPort mixed up. So I'll show you the way to discern this cable from the VGA cable. So go ahead and put it into view here. Again, 9 times out of 10 I've normally seen this to be either a white header or a black. Again, they can be in a variety of colors. You'll see that they'll also have the 2 screws on there. But the way I discern these ones are going to be the pin layout for this guy. You'll see 2 arrays or 1 chunk of array depending on the type of DVI cable. But the biggest way I make the difference is going to be the 1 single pin over here that's a little bit bigger and off to the side. This is the way I always go, hey, this is a DVI cable. Because the VGAs will never have that. This type of cable will start to produce your digital cable. You'll see it on older monitors as it tried to become mainstream, but HDMI kind of overtook its place. So you might see this one out in the wild here and there. Alright, next cable that we're going to discuss is going to be the HDMI cable. This cable here is going to be probably our most popular cable for the main reason that it's popular in the computer and office landscape when it comes to monitors, as well as the home theater landscape as well. So you'll see this on streaming devices, consoles, sound bars, televisions, all that good stuff. It's our first fully HD cable where it's able to produce HD quality all the way up to 4K, 8K, depending on the type of cable. The way I always discern this cable is going to be its header here, where it's almost like trapezoid shape, but it's symmetrical on both sides here. You're going to notice in our DisplayPort cable that won't be the case. This cable can also come into 3 different shapes. There's the full size that I'm showing you here, and there's also the mini and the micro that I showed in the infographic. Reason why I'm not showing the mini or the micro, 9 times out of 10 you're not going to see those on most of your either home theater systems or your computer systems. You're going to see this more so on the camera systems to connect them into an outside display so you can kind of see what you're recording on there. But very popular cable. Most new monitors will either come with this in VGA or this in DisplayPort, kind of depending on its price range. So yeah, very popular cable. Hopefully that helps out with that one. On to our next cable we're going to discuss is DisplayPort cable, kind of the king of display cables. That's its name, DisplayPort. In the monitor world, just because it can pass through the highest bit rate and data, meaning that you can get some of your highest quality image to your monitor, 4K, 8K, and beyond, as well as some of your highest refresh rates. Basically, a refresh rate is just how quickly your monitor is cycling through that image on your screen. So that's what makes a picture seem, or not picture, a video or a game seem smooth. So you'll see more high refresh rate seekers for video game enthusiasts, but I thought I'd bring it up here real quick. So we'll go ahead and put that into view, and that's going to be that guy there. Again, this guy comes in two different forms. We're going to have the mini and the full size. I'm going to start with the full size here. Like on the HDMI, it's going to kind of have that trapezoid shape on the one side there, but it's only going to be on the one side, so asymmetrical. On the other end here, you're going to just have that flat cutoff there. And that's how I always discern a DisplayPort cable from an HDMI cable. Depending on the brand, I've seen some that don't, but another easy way to see is if it has kind of this latch or lock mechanism on the cables. With DisplayPort, when they slot in, they have two little notches here that kind of just secure it and keep it into place. So you can't really sit and tug, and I've seen people ruin either the monitor or the computer because they've yanked too hard and actually torn out the port. You actually have to physically press down on this latch to then be able to slide that port out. Next we're going to look at is the mini version there, which will be that guy right there. What that port will basically be used for is going to be on a computer side or a laptop side where they may not have enough room to put in a full DisplayPort, so they want something smaller, less of a footprint on the body of the computer, or I've seen this on docking stations. Normally your configuration of the cable will be mini on one side and just full display on the other side, as most monitors don't have this on their side. I don't think I've seen one myself, but they're probably out there, so just to be aware of that, you may someday need that mini display to mini display. Again, more common now to see the full DisplayPort brethren, as that's going to be on most of your newer graphics cards that are for your workstations or gaming rigs, and then as well as more of your higher end monitors will have normally this guy here and a VGA, or this guy here and an HDMI. Depending on which type of the monitor you get it. So when monitor buying, that's always a pro tip, is to look at which ports are on it before you purchase, so that way you know you have to have the appropriate cables on hand when it comes in. Alright, that's kind of the DisplayPort cable. We'll move on to our final one. Alright, time for our final cable here, which is going to be USB-C, or sometimes known as Thunderbolt cable. Going to be just real brief with this one, as we'll go in more in depth on the name differences and what this cable can all do in our second video for cables in our two-part series here. But I did want to just kind of show this here real quick to you guys, as it is going to be a common cable that you'll soon start seeing. Already pretty popular in the mobile landscape when it comes to charging both your tablets or your cell phones. Some new MacBooks and laptops are also charging by this as well. The way to discern this one is going to be the perfect oval kind of shape there for it. Other benefit with Type-C is you can plug it in on either side, so you can go in like this, or you can normally rotate it completely and plug it in as well. And very just a super versatile cable. But again, just wanted to be very brief and show this one quick as we go into our next part series with the other types of cables that you'll see on your computer rig. But thank you so much for watching this video again.